here's the challenge. And I hinted at this earlier when I said, what's at risk if we don't get better, right? What's at risk if we don't improve? Well, the same. What's at risk is that we're going to see the same and perhaps worse as our world of work becomes increasingly complex. Our world of work in terms of traditional employees, corporate employees, working alongside multiple contractors, subcontractors, temporary labor agencies. This is complexity, right? It's getting bigger. How are we doing better at this? This is what's at stake. And if we just break this down in terms of contractor 1, 2, and 3, right? So we see, company A has 4 fatalities, 1 event, a terrible event, right? Someone, their vehicle was struck by a drunk driver, 4 fatalities from 1 event. We don't want to see any of these, but these are unfortunately from real events. Company B could be in our procurement system or our health and safety system, and we only see 2 fatalities. Separate events, right? Well, what's hard to see is that, we may not know that these are separate events. 1 fall from height, 1 trench collapse. The difference between the first example and second example is, well, what's in the control of the employer to prevent, to intentionally focus on preventing? Company B should be giving us more insight and context. Company C, you know what? This is the company that comes and turns power back on for our hospitals and cities and municipalities after a big storm. And so that we may see, well, separate fatalities, 4 total fatalities, but it's hard to see context with the current status quo. And by the way, when we start thinking about who do we want in our work system and what kind of decisions are we really making, it's hard to see what's going on. And so what we really have is an old model that's alongside new expectations. So let me just ask you to put in the chat here for a moment. In the past 2 years, in the past 3 years, right? Let's just say 3 years. If you have come across safety 1 and 2, right? The safety 1 and 2 in terms of how you're applying thinking into your safety practice, or if you've come across human and organizational performance, HOP, right? If this has really begun to you've begun learning about HOP and applying HOP, or maybe SIF intervention strategy, right? So maybe drop in the chat. What's the thing that's been what's the bolt of lightning in terms of the safety world, in terms of helping you drive practice, better expectations, better practice? Drop that in the chat and share with the rest of us, because as we read through this, what we'll see is we have better going on. We have pockets and independent areas of new expectations for how we think and how we practice and what we insist on in terms of better outcomes. But we're kind of stuck in this old model. And so the example I give here is, look, we can see that traditional expectations in terms of, who owns the fatality between a contractor and the hiring employer isn't really taking us forward. I know that exists in the world of compliance, in the world of transferring risk from one employer to the other. That's a part of it, but that's all that there's been, right? And so contractually transferring risk to a third party in a way that says, well, that is their citation, that's doing nothing to help us meaningfully advance the prevention of serious injuries and fatalities. In our world today, why this matters is, I mentioned it earlier, we have more contractors, more subcontractors, more temporary labor agencies in our world of work today. It's more complex. Therefore, our new expectations are right? What we're learning about systems frameworks and our approach, and we really just are left with, hey, the status quo is no longer taking us forward. So what's taking us forward?